I worked hard in a white band, and they still laughed at the Asian. He didn't tweet it in a moment of anger. He didn't say it in a tell-all interview. He carved it into a song. He put it on the record. A single line. That feels like a decade of swallowed words. A ghost that has haunted hallways, headlines, and comment sections. Finally given a voice. For years, we saw the smile. We heard the high notes. We consumed the image of 5 brothers against the world. But what happens when the world sees one of them differently? In the next few minutes, we're not just unpacking a lyric. We are piecing together a puzzle we should have solved years ago. We'll connect the dots between late-night punchlines, airport security lines, and the crushing weight of silence. Stay with me, because this isn't just a story about a pop star. It's a story about the price of belonging. Chapter 1: The Perfect Machine. One Direction wasn't a band. It was a weather system. A cultural force. 5 boys packaged into an image of invincible, harmless joy. The cheeky one. The charming one. The sensible one. The loud one. And Zayn. The quiet one. The mysterious one. But what if mysterious was just a mask for misunderstood? What if quiet wasn't a personality trait, but a survival strategy? Fame is a magnifying glass. It makes the bright spots blinding, and it makes the cracks look like canyons. For 4 members of the band, the glass reflected global adoration. For the 5th, it often reflected something else. A caricature, a stereotype, a question mark. Every interview, every appearance, was a tightrope walk. He had to be one of the boys, but not too different. He had to be grateful, but not draw attention to why he had to be more grateful. This is the hidden labor of being the first, the only. The pressure was building in plain sight. But the first major crack appeared not in a stadium, but on a TV set, disguised as a joke. And when the world laughed, it gave permission for something much uglier to grow. Chapter 2: The Punchline That Wasn't a Joke. The year is 2015. A late-night host is comparing Zayn Malik to the Boston Marathon bomber. He calls him a terrorist. The studio audience gasps. Then, some of them laugh. Applause. The clip goes viral. Think about that. A young British Pakistani man, one of the most famous musicians on the planet, is publicly and casually linked to terrorism for a cheap laugh. This wasn't just a bad joke. It was a match dropped on a pile of kindling. It validated years of simmering Islamophobia in comment sections and forums. It took a slur whispered in the dark corners of the internet and put it under studio lights. Now, connect that public humiliation to the lyric you heard at the beginning. They still laughed at the Asian. The they in that line isn't just one person. It's the audience that applauded. It's the media that framed him as moody and volatile when he was likely just exhausted. It's a culture that saw his skin color and his heritage before it saw his humanity. It's like being in a play where you know all your lines perfectly, but a heckler in the front row keeps shouting a different name at you. Eventually, it doesn't matter how well you perform. The heckler is all anyone hears. But the public attacks were only the moments we could see. The real damage was being done in places with no cameras at all. Chapter 3: Guilty Until Famous. Before the sold-out arenas, there were the airport holding rooms. Zayn has spoken about it himself. His first trip to America. He's 17 years old. He's not a global superstar yet. He's just a kid with a Muslim name. He described being subjected to 3 separate security checks. Pulled aside. Questioned for hours. While the rest of the band sailed through. This wasn't a one-time event. It became a pattern. A routine. The cost of entry. Imagine the psychology of that. To be told again and again, by men in uniforms, that your very existence is a threat. That you are suspicious by default. How can you feel like you belong anywhere when the systems of the world tell you that you don't? This kind of stress is a slow poison. It doesn't fell you with one blow. It seeps into your bones over time. It makes you second-guess yourself. It teaches you to make yourself smaller, less noticeable, to avoid the next interrogation. It teaches you to be quiet. So if this was happening for years, behind the scenes and in front of the world, why did it take a decade for him to finally put it into words? The answer is more complicated than you think. Chapter 4: The High Cost of Speaking Up. Silence isn't always surrender. Sometimes, it's an armor. For a young man of color at the heart of a billion-dollar music machine, speaking out wasn't an option. It was a nuclear button. To complain about racism would have been twisted into headlines. Zayn accuses bandmates. Zayn is ungrateful. Zayn divides the fandom. The machine requires a clean story. And his truth was messy. So he swallowed it. He chose to protect the music. He chose to protect the band. He chose to protect his own career from a label he never asked for, the problem. Many of us know this feeling on a smaller scale. Staying silent in a meeting when a colleague makes an off-color joke. Smiling politely when a relative asks an invasive question about your culture. We absorb the discomfort so the room can remain comfortable. Zayn did that on a global stage, for 5 years straight. He gave us clues. He told us he felt different. But we were too caught up in the music to listen to the man. The bill for that silence always comes due. And his arrived in a recording studio, with a pen and a microphone. Chapter 5, Autopsy of a Lyric. Let's go back to the line. It's a masterclass in precision. I worked hard. This isn't just about vocal rehearsals or tour schedules. This is the invisible work. The emotional labor of code switching, of self-editing, of constantly proving you belong in a space that wasn't built for you. In a white band. He's not pointing a finger. He's drawing a map. He's naming the context. The structure. He is stating the simple, undeniable fact that his experience inside the global phenomenon was fundamentally different from everyone else's. It's not an accusation, it's an observation. And they still laughed at the Asian. This is the devastating conclusion. After all the work, after all the hits, after all the sacrifices, his identity could still be flattened into a punchline. A stereotype. The they is brilliantly ambiguous. It's the media. It's the industry. It's the anonymous haters. It's anyone who chose the easy laugh over the difficult truth. He's not saying his bandmates laughed at him. He's saying that even being in the biggest band in the world didn't protect him from a world that did. That's the real tragedy. His success couldn't buy him safety. Chapter 6, Reclaiming the Narrative. There's a profound difference between a press release and a poem. One explains. The other makes you feel. Zayn could have written a book. He could have sat down for a primetime special. But he chose art. Because art can't be misquoted. A lyric is a vessel. It holds the pure, distilled emotion of an experience. He didn't need to name names or list dates. He just had to tell us how it felt. And in doing so, he took the power back. He stopped being the subject of the story and became the author. In a moment, we're going to talk about what we do now. How we turn this revelation into a real conversation. But first, we have to recognize the courage it takes to turn a wound into a work of art. Chapter 7, Where do we go from here? So what now? How do we build a better, smarter fandom? 3 simple ideas. First, stop rewarding the punchline. When a joke punches down on someone's identity, don't just scroll past. Don't engage the hate, but support the person being targeted. A single comment saying, "This isn't okay," can change the entire temperature of a conversation. Be the pause, not the applause. Second, listen to the subtext. When artists of color speak about feeling like an outlier, believe them. Don't demand a list of receipts. Their feeling is the evidence. We missed the signs with Zayn for years. Let's not miss them again. Finally, separate the structure from the individuals. This conversation isn't about canceling the other members of One Direction. It's about acknowledging the systemic pressures that Zayn faced, which his white bandmates did not. You can love the band and still validate Zayn's unique struggle. The two are not mutually exclusive. Because in the end, this story isn't about blame. It's about clarity. And clarity is the first step toward change. The final takeaway. Zayn Malik didn't break his silence to start a war. He broke it to end his own. He lit a candle in a room we were all pretending was bright enough. He turned years of hurt into a single undeniable truth. If you have ever been made to feel like you were too much, or not enough, if you have ever had to laugh at a joke that was about you, if you have ever made yourself small to survive, his story is your story. And the most powerful thing you can do is to one day, in your own way, find the microphone. If this video gave you a new perspective, please share it. You never know who needs to hear this. And I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. What part of Zayn's journey resonates with you the most? The public joke, the private scrutiny, or the power of his final lyric? I will read every single comment. For more deep dives that connect the dots in pop culture, hit that subscribe button. Let's keep having better conversations together.